going to go with my personal story and kind of debrief you guys on some of the happy moments, some of the sad moments, hard ones, and good ones. So let's begin. So I was 3 years old when my aunt took me in. My mom had a lot of, this is gonna get personal, okay? Like I'm gonna be real straight with you right here. Like, no beating around the bush. So my mom was bad into drinking and drugs. She was hanging out with the wrong crowd. And so my aunt took me in and my sister. Now my sister, I'm not going to mention names, anything like that, but my sister is older than me. I want to say 2 years, maybe 1.5. We always get it mixed up. Well, I do, because I feel like I'm more mature than everyone. Anyway, so yeah, so I'm the youngest. And then we moved in with my aunt and her 2 kids, which I consider my sister and my brother. That's what I meant was it was a little complicated. So that kind of uncomplicates the situation. So I was raised by her, and if anyone has read any of my blog posts, personal poems that I've written, life with her was not an easy one. It was very abusive, physically and mentally. And the reason why I want to be open about this and talk about this is because I feel like so many people hide what has happened to them and what they have overcome, and I think it's really important to address that a lot more people go through it than I think is addressed. And you know, one thing I read on Facebook, because I love scrolling on Facebook, I didn't get on the bandwagon for Snapchat and other stuff like that until later. But I seen on Facebook that there was post about kids who are abused at home and having to live that COVID life right now home with their abusers. And it is something near and dear to my heart because I've been there. I remember like vacations, like March break and things like that. It was never a pleasant experience for me and my family, my sisters and my brother. My brother didn't come into the picture till a while later. So yeah, that was that situation. But I did have phenomenal grandparents, and I mean phenomenal grandparents. I mean, they were, I feel, above average. I had my one grandparent split before, like, I think I was even born. So they remarried with other partners, and they literally were phenomenal. So I'm going to debrief you guys because I will talk about them. Actually a lot, probably. So I have what I call my nan and my papa, which my papa has passed, unfortunately. But my nan is just this creative, giving, kind woman who, like, I feel like I'm so in sync with. And then I had my grandma Holderney, and her husband, my grandpa Holderney, which I don't really remember too much of him. I remember he always used to play violin, which I think is kind of where I get my musical, like, want and craving. I wouldn't say talent because it's not much of a talent right now. Pretty bad at it. But and then my grandma Holderney, she was this cute little, like, old school English lady who loved to play Scrabble and go bird watching, and she just had such a huge heart. And I will get into my dirty secrets eventually through this, and my regrets. And like, I always used to live by don't regret anything in your life, but I think there are things that allow you to learn, and they can still be a regret. I don't think regrets are necessarily always going to be negative to an extent, as long as you can learn from your regrets. Yeah. So that being said, then I had my grandma, and then I'll call him Grandpa, but we just called him by his name. They were awesome. Again, my grandma was not like your old school grandma, so I would talk to her about everything, like friends and boys, and she was very real with you. She didn't beat around the bush, and I always appreciated that, as well as my grandpa. Like, him and I had a really special bond, still do. And yeah, my grandma unfortunately passed away quite a few years ago now. Like, it doesn't feel like it, but I know it's been quite a few years now, of cancer, lung cancer. So I'll go more in detail. All of this, I will break it all down for you eventually. So, yeah, I would say the reason why I am who I am is because of my grandparents. And I think in a situation of child abuse and just like shitty childhood, I think we all have to kind of focus on that one thing that we can be so grateful and so thankful for. And honestly, that was my grandparents. I'm super, super fortunate. So, my sisters, growing up, being the youngest, I was annoying, and I just loved to get under their skin. It was that typical sibling rivalry, and it was awesome. I ended up actually going to my older sister for a lot of help because I got bullied a lot at school, and I hear these stories, and like I feel like it's so, social media has like overshadowed this, like it's a whole other level of bullying now, because back when I was in public school, Facebook really wasn't a thing. It wasn't until high school, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure high school was when kind of Facebook came to be, and that was the thing. So it really, really built me to who I am. But I remember, like, I didn't want to go home, and I didn't want to be at school, so there wasn't really a happy medium for me, and it was really, really hard. So having the outlets like music, I sang a lot when I was a kid. I drew a lot. I love writing, and I think that's kind of where me writing a blog kind of started up from this year. But yeah, so I lived with my aunt up until I was 15 years old, and then I moved out. I moved through 5 different family members, all for different reasons, but mostly because I was at that stage that I didn't want rules anymore, and I wanted people to realize how mature I thought I was. And I think once you're at that stage, it's hard to be told that no, like, not really that mature, like, you can't handle this and everything like that. So, fell in love, and that is huge for me. Like, for who I am today, I wouldn't be if it wasn't for that relationship. It taught me a lot about the toxic relationships and unhealthy ones, and how manipulation, narcissistic personality, but also how love can be toxic. The person may love you, but it, I think, can be very toxic sometimes. But him and I, we fell hard, we fell fast. I was over the moon. I made a lot of mistakes in that relationship. So I was looking for someone to fill the void of every issue I had in my life. And I put so much pressure on that, and I ended up, I cheated twice in that whole relationship, but it again was a very unhealthy relationship. It was very abusive, physically, mentally. It was not a good mix. And if I feel like if I would have known those signs, and but that's all about personal growth, right? When you're young, you don't really know what to look out for and where to have limits and standards. And we were two different people trying to fix each other, and it wasn't a good combination. Eventually I ended up leaving that relationship. I left it, I want to say 21. I think so. I think it was 21. Because I was with him for 7.5 years or 8.5 years, 15. Anyways, through that time, I had a series of issues that I had to go through that were really, really hard. And then I ended up realizing after this relationship had taken so much from my life, the friends that I had met, the family that I was still talking to and I was not allowed to, he had cut all of that out of my life. And I think most of it was based on insecurity of how unstable our relationship was, unfortunately. That pushed me to the edge, and I ended up moving out. It was a very, very hard breakup, and it was something that I hope when I have kids they never have to go through. I hope I can show them the signs of what a healthy relationship is and what someone does if they truly love you. And I totally believe that you have to love yourself before you love someone else, and I don't feel like he did at that point. So after that, I went single, and I had way too much fun, way too long. Again, there's a lot more to that story, but I jumped from boyfriend to boyfriend to boyfriend, and I was still trying to find who I was as a woman, and I ended up pretty fortunate to being able to reconnect with those relationships that I had lost in my life. And I ended up talking back to everyone. I got into school and I got amazing opportunities. I've done runway shows, I've done professional photo shoots, and it has been nothing but a dream. The past, I would say, 2 solid years. It's been a struggle, but a dream. Because I've also had to have a lot of personal growth on my end, and that was never something easy. And I think if things don't come easy, they're definitely worth it. And I know that sounds so stereotypical, but like, truthfully, I'm fortunate for all my struggles, and you're gonna hear me say over and over and over and over again. Because what I want you guys to realize is no matter what you go through, no matter, like, you know, this is a very, like, everyone's gonna be seeing this, so, I mean, you guys are gonna know everything, but, I have been homeless, by choice, and people, by choice, what do you mean? I had the choice to, after breaking up with that long-term relationship, to run back home, and with my grandparents, or I could stand it out and look for my own place. And fortunately, I found a place quite quick. It was like 2 weeks ish. But yeah, and then once I did that struggle, and it was almost as if I needed to prove to myself, opposed to proving to everyone else that I could do it and I was independent and I was what I thought I was. I had to prove it to myself. And I think through all of that, you do learn a lot. Like, any struggle you're going to go through is going to teach you so much about yourself, and it is going to strengthen you. And you're going to be able to teach people about, hey, this is what I did. I didn't give up. I kept on pushing forward, and it did turn out okay. So, in saying that, I ended up getting a dog. So I had graduated from makeup school before. I bounced around a lot. I lived with friends. I roomed so many places, and they were not dream places, let's just put it that way. We'll get into a conversation about like whole roommates being crazy, all of that, like, but I ended up going to school. I was rooming for makeup, and then I ended up getting accepted. Well, I took a break. I started working for the summer, and then I shockingly, at least for me, it was shocking, because I am not a high school graduate. Yeah. So I want to be that person that can be like, I didn't graduate high school and look at me now. Although I do not encourage people not to. It makes life much more difficult, especially on side jobs that you could be making $20 an hour. I can't apply for them because I don't have my diploma, things like that, right? But yeah, so I ended up living in Toronto for a while, and it was an experience. I learned that I like the hometown feel because it's more comforting. I think we all like what we all know, right? I definitely like the shopping better though. Shopping is way better. I am like a shopping addict, by the way. Winners, and like, I used to be Sephora, but it's like, now I pay my own bills, so it's like, you gotta simmer down on Sephora, you know? But yeah. So I just kind of wanted to summarize a bit of my journey and what I've been through. A little chit chat, I guess. And I look forward to our next segment. I would probably like to do either facials / skincare or makeup. So I will talk to you guys later, and thanks for listening to a bit of my ramble. And yeah.